Holy moly, this episode went crazy. So, this episode, we finally got the opening to the episode. Last episode didn't give us the opening, but this one definitely did. And my god, I must say, they spoil a lot in it, but they don't spoil too much. Most openings, they spoil like way too much in the opening. One Piece as an example. I'm not hating on One Piece. I'm just saying that whole opening, great, so good. But the amount they spoil, unless you've read the manga, you won't know what they're spoiling. But still, there's a lot. But anyways, this one was pretty damn good. They got through. They showed off a lot of the characters that we're going to be seeing this season. All the way, at least the way I think the season's going to end is particularly at the first season's end of the manhwa. Now the manhwa is also in seasons. It's season 1 and season 2, and so I think it's going to be ending at season 1. I'm not 100% sure the end of season 1 of the manhwa, though that's like a lot of stuff happened. So I'm not entirely sure they're going to go that far. They might only go until the first major fight. The first major fight he actually has, one where he almost loses. We'll see. I don't want to spoil too much, but yes, somewhere around then. But even the episode itself went crazy. There's a lot in this episode. I was like, different from the manhwa, for sure. But seeing it all again was like, yeah, my god. Animating some of these scenes, and I've seen them like 1,000 times. The first 10 chapters, I remember them by heart, essentially. I've seen them so many damn times. It's the one thing that I tell people, just read the first 10 chapters. Just read that much. It's just that, and then you'll get into this. I'm telling you. It's like with One Piece, when you try to get someone into One Piece, you just like, read the first 50. All you gotta do is read the first 50. Don't do nothing else. Just read the first 50. Don't like it by then, it's okay to drop it. And a lot of people get into it after the first 10 because the first 10 is so good. So what they're going through is the first 10 chapters. And man, they go through some stuff here. Now they sped through certain things. Well, it just feels sped through, but it's definitely just because they animated it through. And it's so good. Now the thing is, the soundtrack that's being played through this is insanely good. They basically one for one everything from the manga. The soundtrack is not there in the manga, clearly you're reading it, but they added the soundtrack is part of what is actually happening. One of the coolest things in this episode, and slight spoiler in the episode, is that there was a point where they have to go to the statues that have instruments on them, and then the instrument will start playing, meaning you're praising the god. It's one of the commandments that they had to do. Now, every single one of them will start, they will arrive at a instrument, and then only that instrument would play. And so only that instrument was playing until someone else got to another instrument. You hear it being played, but it's being played as the soundtrack of what's all happening at the exact same time. And so it fits in the vibe and the mood that all the characters are going through. And that's why I really enjoyed this episode. It was so good. They captured everything the first 10 chapters actually have. Down to even this little thing, this little interaction they had with their leader. These only being the only 6 left. It makes so much sense. Song losing his leg, everything was just one for one. Yes, certain things I'm not entirely sure about this, but it might have happened earlier than the other, but it still happened in the exact path that the manhwa had gone through. Now you're basically first 10 chapters of the manhwa done, and I don't know where they're going to go from here. But not only did they cut away from this for a little bit to show off other characters, where they were showing off other characters outside, is particularly his sister and this character, Sung's sister and this character. The only reason I know is it's not a spoiler because they did say this is his sister, not this girl. This girl is his sister. They've said this, so it was cool that they cut away from what is actually happening to this, which is not in the manhwa. This is anime only scenes. Well, I think they might have shown this later in the manhwa.
That's it.
No. It is actually anime only scenes because this wasn't in the manhwa. Later on, you get to actually meet you meet him interacting with his sister, and so it's not going exact. It's adding things again, something from the previous episode, previous video I made on this. addition, not subtraction, because when you subtract, things get really bad. Promised Neverland. Other than that, the episode itself is really, really, really good, and I've mentioned this the whole time through. It feels like every one of them has characterization. Sung himself, the characters within this have been given a lot more characterization. It was there in the manhwa, but a lot of people would say, nah, these characters are just one note. They don't have characterizations. It's just main character being overpowered and that's it. But no, truthfully, there is a lot in here. Now, if you weren't down with the first episode, and I would understand why, the first episode, there wasn't anything wrong with it. It was perfect. It was just exactly that. That's it. That's all I wanted. That animation. It's not Demon Slayer level of animation. Like, I don't think there's a lot that is at that point. But it was very good for a manhwa. For the manhwas that have gotten anime adaptations. Like I mentioned last episode, Tower of God, God of High School, Noblesse. Those ones, they didn't get great. They got great animations, but their story was not one for one. But this one, they kept it one for one. But I'm pretty sure the point where the season's gonna end, and I mentioned it earlier, is his interesting fight. That's one. His interesting fight with this. I can't. I saw this in the opening, and I was like, "Oh, yes, sir! We finally get an animated version of Iggy." Or sorry, don't want to spoil the names just yet. Let it come. But this fight right here, I cannot wait for. This is going to be so good. Oh my god! But anyways, that was episode 2. Episode 2 was a step above the first one. The first one, introducing all the characters, giving a little bit introduction to the animation that they're going to be going through, the fact that they're going to be adding characters every time, or not just characters, adding scenes that were not originally in the manhwa, which is good. It adds characterization to other characters that didn't get it. That's why I'm like, this is really good. I don't mind the additions as long as they don't subtract anything. Everything would be good. Plus, they give this an introduction to the main character and its animation that they're gonna go forward with. The second episode just continued with that, and I hope it just keeps on continuing. It doesn't stop. It just keeps on keeping on. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm really hoping this one hits the highs and not lows with its animation in episode 2. Episode 3 is I'm really excited to see. Now I'm even more excited to get this episode 3, because that's when the real story starts. This is just the prologue to the story. For those who don't know Solo Leveling, who have never read Solo Leveling, I suggest you do. But after the anime is finished, then go and read Solo Leveling if you want to. But it's a really good manhwa. But because of this show alone, if it has to get popular, I really hope this does get popular. I said it last episode as well, because if this does, we're gonna get manhwas that I am super excited to see animated, that if they animate would be top tier. It would be Demon Slayer level of animation. Just animating those scenes, fights that would be crazy good. But that's it for Solo Leveling episode 2. I'm gonna be covering every episode, and I said before this as well, it's doing really well, and I really hope this continues. This animation style, this animation level is just so good. The designs of each of the characters, there's not even a fault. They're still giving them Korean names as well. All of it is still so good. I hope they keep up this quality. They say the next episode's gotta be as good, because now we're getting to the real meat and potato of Solo Leveling.